A recent study claimed that people go through two massive bursts of aging around the age of 44 and 60. Although this study doesn't prove it, it does support the experience of a lot of people who say that after their 40s they start to experience a lot more aging. In this video, I'm going to go through the major contributors to this accelerated aging in your 40s and how you can counteract that. Watch until the end for a complete weekly routine. Let's start with one of the most significant changes that happens to your body. Muscle mass and strength peak in your mid-30s, and starting from your 40s, you're going to see a gradual decline. However, there's a huge difference between individuals who do resistance training and those who don't. People who don't lift weights will see a much faster and accelerated decline in their elderly years. The risk of having low muscle mass is that it predisposes you to frailty and hip fractures when you're old. This is especially important for women because their bone density declines rapidly after menopause, and postmenopausal women are at a very high risk of frailty if they had low bone density and muscle to begin with. In your 40s, it's still relatively easy to build up your bone density and muscle mass compared to your 60s or 70s. That's why if you're over the age of 40, you should get a DEXA scan so that you could see if you have enough bone density or muscle mass. But regardless of your results, you still want to do some form of resistance training. A study followed over 600,000 Japanese Americans for 25 years and saw that those who had low grip strength 25 years ago had a 3 times higher risk of experiencing difficulty putting on clothes, eating and rising from a chair compared to those who had high grip strength. The best way to increase muscle strength and bone density is to prioritize heavy compound exercises. Squats, bench press, rows, deadlift, pull-ups, overhead press, etc. They're all very effective for making you build muscle. One thing that starts declining even sooner than muscle mass is VO2 max. VO2 max peaks when you're 18 years old, and it begins declining in both men and women. A low VO2 max predicts health problems and difficulties with everyday activities, similar to muscle strength. Because VO2 max starts declining much sooner than muscle strength, you should already prioritize cardiovascular exercise in your 20s. From an everyday safety standpoint, yes, muscle mass and muscle strength are important to prevent frailty, but when it comes to heart disease and Alzheimer's, then the research suggests that a higher VO2 max will reduce the risk more than high muscle strength. The answer is that you should obviously do both cardio and resistance training. Moving on with social life, because it's very underrated. A 2019 survey found that after the age of 40, Americans spend significantly less time with their children after their 40s. Time spent with friends also decreases but much sooner, and time spent alone increases the older you get. The only person you spend more time with is your partner or spouse. Given what we know about the risk of loneliness and the importance of maintaining good social relationships, it means that you should try to maintain closer relationships with your children and spouse if you have them in your 40s. Moving on with melatonin, because it also declines rapidly with age. In fact, melatonin levels drop already after puberty, and a 40-year-old person can produce up to 5 times less melatonin than a teenager. The levels decline even more in your 60s and 70s. This decline in melatonin not only reduces sleep quality, but it also reduces the body's antioxidant defense. Melatonin is also a powerful anti-inflammatory molecule that's been seen to lower inflammation and improve metabolic health markers in larger doses. Now, if you are healthy and you exercise, then yes, you will maintain melatonin production for a lot longer, but you will still produce significantly less melatonin than you did in your 20s or 30s. That's why supplementing some melatonin in that age can be useful to fill the gap of what would be optimal and what your body makes naturally. Another antioxidant that declines with age is glutathione. Glutathione levels have been seen to decline already in your 20s, but it becomes more significant in your 40s. And your immune system gets worse around your 40s as well, which is partly because of a drop in glutathione. One of the best supplements for raising glutathione levels is glycine and NAC, Glynac. Supplementing with Glynac has been seen to raise glutathione, reduce oxidative stress, lower inflammation, and improve mitochondrial function in humans. And as a bonus, you should also add a collagen supplement, because collagen in your skin begins declining already in your 20s. So if you're not taking collagen peptides by your 40s, you should start as soon as possible. Now, collagen isn't going to extend your lifespan, but it is going to reverse skin aging. Testosterone levels decline in men already in their 20s, but it becomes more significant in your 40s. That's also the most common time men start taking testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT. The evidence does suggest that TRT in low doses is safe, and it does improve a lot of the risk factors for chronic disease. However, you should make sure that you actually need TRT before jumping on it. Are you getting at least 7 to 8 hours of restorative sleep? Are you not overweight? Are you eating enough dietary fat and carbohydrates? Because both low fat and low carb diets lower testosterone. Are you lifting weights at least 2 times per week? Are you getting enough vitamin D from sunlight and other vitamins and minerals from your food? If the answer to those questions is yes and your testosterone is still low, then you should consult your doctor about TRT or other options. However, if you don't want to jump the gun yet, you could also try some herbal supplements that have been shown to increase testosterone, such as ashwagandha, tonkat ali, ginseng, and saw palmetto. Unfortunately, they aren't nearly as effective as TRT. When we're talking about diet, then one diet pattern you can't go wrong with is a Mediterranean-style diet. Olive oil, vegetables, fruit, fish, nuts, seeds, and meat. No fad diets, no quick crash diets, just a well-rounded and balanced diet. If I were to suggest any macro splits, then it would be slightly higher protein to maintain the muscle mass that starts to decline in your 40s, and a balanced split between carbs and fats. You want to aim for a slightly higher protein intake to ensure adequate muscle. An intake of 1.6 grams per kilogram is seen to be enough, but you could go up to 1.8 grams per kilogram per day. For fats, you want around 30 to 40% of your calories, and the rest come from carbs, which will be around 40 to 45% of your total calories. The study I mentioned at the beginning did find that both glucose tolerance and lipid metabolism get worse after the age of 45. This means your blood sugar, triglycerides, and cholesterol levels will get higher with age. To counteract that, you'd need to titrate your carbohydrate intake accordingly and focus on healthy omega-3 fats and olive oil over saturated fats. When it comes to body weight and body fat percentage, then it is seen that elderly people who have a little bit more body weight and they're slightly overweight have reduced risk of mortality. That's because even if you're slightly chubby, that extra mass can protect you against frailty and falls. However, in your 40s, that's still too early. You're not at risk of falling or at risk of hip fractures in your 40s. And you would be better off by being slightly leaner. For men, a healthy body fat percentage in your 40s would be less than 15%, and for women between 20 to 30%. Alright, now let's put together a full plan. You want to eat a healthy balanced diet and ensure you get enough protein, but not get too overweight. Eat 1.6 grams per kilogram of protein and don't exceed 15% body fat for men and 30% for women. Lift weights at least twice per week, but optimally 3 times per week. Focus on getting stronger in the compound lifts like squat, bench, and deadlift. Do cardiovascular exercise at least twice a week, but optimally 3 times per week. Do a mix of low-intensity aerobic exercise and high-intensity interval training. Supplement melatonin at around 1 to 3 milligrams and Glynac at around 2 to 3 grams each. You can take up to 10 to 15 grams of glycine for other benefits. Spend time with your children and partner to strengthen your relationships. It's never too late to start taking care of your health. They even have studies showing that 80-year-olds can reverse frailty and sarcopenia. Check out my video about my evidence-based longevity routine next.